it's a bit of a dull day. It was less than optimal yesterday afternoon for harvesting sunlight, so we went the evening with a good charge on the house after it had been ported from the shed, but the shed was not fully charged. And this morning it's been dull, so we're currently at about 35% at the house and 53% at the shed, and soon the house will start importing from the shed, so I had better run the genset, I think, and drain the pressure accumulator while I'm over there. So the pump is turned off and the genset's running, so now time to drain the pressure accumulator. So the water comes out under a bit of pressure initially, and then it's just gravity drain. Yep, we'll figure. And I need to go and turn on the valve that lets air in at the top of the pressure accumulator now. So here we are. There's 1.9 kilowatts of solar input at the house, but the load's 2.4 kilowatts, so it's drawing down the battery, currently at 34%. Over here at the shed, we've got 1.7 kilowatts of solar input and 12 kilowatts of genset input. Yeah, 600 watts of load. So it's at 65.2% state of charge at the moment. But as we get to later in the morning, the household system will say, I want to be a higher rate of charge, state of charge, so it will start importing, even though it hasn't fallen below the 25% minimum state of charge. We actually ramp it up during the day, so that the aim is that even though we have less solar panels and solar capacity at the shed, it has generally much lower load, so it achieves full charge long before the house does. So rather than waste the potential for the shed to gather more solar input, a whole lot of that is transferred across to the house to bring it up as quickly as possible to full charge. So yeah, when this gets to say 75%, I shall shut down the genset. By then the pressure accumulator will have drained, and I can go out in the rain I hear and set everything back to normal. But yeah, so that's what we're playing with at the moment. We're up to 75% state of charge now, so I'll hit the stop button. There we go. Next time I want to start it, just got to hit the auto button, which is wrong. Anyway, let's brave the rain now and turn off the tap down there. It's just a gentle sprinkle instead of the tropical downpours we commonly get. Actually had a papaya from here the other day. Pretty damn nice. So there's a lot more to come by the look of it. Anyway, back to the dry. I thought as I went past I'd check the fuel gauge. I think we've just come off full. So I don't know whether it's stuck or not, but we're fine for plenty more runs yet. So there we are at 75.6%. This is yet to update. Oh no, this is now importing from the shed. So you can see importing 5 kilowatts. So this shows now a load of 5 point something kilowatts. There's a little bit overhead always. So that number will be coming down. If that number falls below 50%, I shall come back and do more running of the genset, because we've still only got 1.6 kilowatts input there, 1.8 kilowatts there, so that's 3.4 kilowatts total, 2 kilowatt consumption, so we're in a net positive at the moment. But this is what I do. I manage the expectations and manage the load. As you can see that this is the load, this is low overnight, then of course I start my computer up in the morning and it goes up a bit, then at 9 o'clock comes and it takes on the load from the old switchboard. Now the shed, the load is bugger all always, well pretty much always, and the red there is the import from the genset, and the next bar we get here will have some red, the import from the shed. And I can get all this same information on my mobile phone because it's just a website. Anyway, I'll sleep this computer and go back to my nice lounge room because it's warm over here. Don't know why the base station has suddenly decided it can talk to the external weather station. Outdoors showing 26 degrees, 98% humidity. And here it's 28.5 and 80% humidity, so it's getting a little uncomfortable. So I'll shut this down and go back to the lounge room. I'm back here again in the shed in the afternoon, and you can see why. We're down to 35 and a bit percent CPU, sorry, state of charge, because we're still importing over at the house to try and get the state of charge there up. So I'm going to go and start the genset and sit here until it says at least 75%, maybe more. You can see it progressively ramps up the import until we get to 12.1 kilowatts, which is 75% of the capacity of the generator. It doesn't run harder than 75%, which would make the 100% rating 16 kilowatts, but it's actually 20 kilowatt. So I don't know how they work out the ratings. It claims to be a 20 kilowatt generator. Yeah, okay. Well, some time's gone by, we're getting close. We're at what, 73% of the shed and 74% at the house. And the solar input at the house alone is enough to exceed the load, so we're going to keep gaining. It's a bit sunnier than it was apparently. So what are we at? We're at 73.6. Okay, I'll let it get to 75, then I go and shut it down. Well, it's the next morning and it's fine and sunny, so we're charging vigorously. Well, last night when we went to bed, the shed state of charge was at about 75% and the house state of charge was just over 40. Okay, quick calculation showed that about 2 AM it was going to start doing an import, which is what those red bars are there. So when the sun came up this morning, we're at about 35% state of charge on both systems. And I was thinking, yeah, will I have to run the genset this morning to help? But it's quite sunny, so I think it's actually going to cope without me running the genset. The only gotcha is if we start doing an import from the shed to the house before the shed has got enough charge to cope with an import of any substantial size. And I think we're doing okay there because we're currently at 63.7%, so we've already come up 30% in the last what, 3 hours. So yeah, I think we'll be okay. But yeah, it's just fortunate that we don't have the PLN breaker tripping spontaneously at the moment, because that would throw off all the calculations. That would have had me coming over here bright and early in the morning to run the genset so we didn't run out of power at the house. Yeah, I'm really hoping the the technicians turn up to look into the auto start problem on the genset soon. I hadn't run a Spy Hunter scan on this PC for a while, and it's running one currently, and it's already detected some malware, so I'd better let this finish so I can clean it off before I shut down the computer. Okay, after doing a reboot for Spy Hunter to clean something off the system, which turned out to be Dungeon Siege Legends of Arana, which is not really illegal, I think. We now have 4.3 kilowatts input at the house and 4.8 kilowatts output, so it's using battery which is at 41.6. And you can see over the shed over here we have all of 0.4 kilowatt consumption, which is much more than usual because this computer is using 300 watts of that. But it's got similar solar input, 4.5 kilowatts, and it's at 66.5% state of charge. So I think what's going to happen here is I'll leave it alone, won't run the genset, and just let the house import from the shed, pull that down and recover from solar input, assuming it doesn't get cloudy. If it gets overcast, all bets are off and I need to come over and run the genset. But I'm retired, I have time to do that. And while I'm waiting for Spy Hunter to do its thing, another scan after a reboot, I'll start the stew of my own juice here. You can see the outdoors, 30%, sorry, 30.7 degrees, 77% humidity. Sorry, that's indoors. And outdoors, 29.9 and 85% humidity, so yeah, steamy. And yeah, 46.5 millimeters of rain for a week. Yeah, well, time to turn a fan on. There was enough sunshine that we were fully charged by 2 PM. So didn't have to start the genset after all. It's great. Saved a bit of diesel. Well, this thing's a source of frustration for me. It's a few days since I last took any video, and up until night before last, this thing had not tripped in over a week. But it tripped, well, this is where the fourth time I've reset it for the last session, and it was 4 times I reset it for the previous 12-hour session. So yeah, I don't know what's wrong with that, but I have another one there as a spare, which hopefully we can get somebody to replace it soon. And you're hearing very loud granddaughter. If I don't catch that breaker being tripped overnight, that means the power consumption is double or more than what would be otherwise. So that pretty much guarantees that there'll have to be an import from the shed at least once. We can get 2 imports from the shed when it's fully charged. An import being from 25% state of charge at the house to 40% state of charge at the house. So bringing it up that 15% means that with the normal load of about 700 watts, it would take 31% of the state of charge of the shed to bring the house up that 15%, because there's losses in the inverter at the shed, converting from battery to AC to come across this big thick cable, and then there's conversion losses at the house and the load that's going on while that import is happening. So yeah, I worked it out that to come up from by 15% at the house, it's going to cost 31% at the shed, which I can do twice, because you can't go below 20% at the shed before that shuts down. So yeah, and yes, it looks pretty steamy. So we'll get fully charged, but I'm thinking we might get rain later today by the look of this. Certainly feels steamy. The other thing I've done is crafted and sent off an email for Indotara, the vendor of the compact track loader, to say that yep, we need a replacement drive chain for this and replacement wiper arms for this, as well as somebody to come and well, do an oil and filter change on it, because well, it doesn't have enough hours on the clock to justify it. The calendar has ticked over far enough that yes, we should change the fluids and filters, and we need them to fix up the ignition system so that we can actually get contact again and start this thing, and then see about whether I can find a buyer. These papayas are fattening up nicely. We've had a couple come to the house. Tasty. But yeah, some of them are pretty damn big. And Dadang's working over there, I see. And he's got some bagged up over there to keep bugs off them, presumably. Or kids. I don't know. It's not comfortable while I stand out here waiting for this pressure accumulator to drain. It's 31 degrees and 82% humidity, which is why that rice that you saw was planted. You can't see through that, it's not focusing. That rice that you saw was freshly planted in the previous video. It's already making great strides. Stuff grows faster around here. Well, the pressure accumulator's drained again, and the fuel level in the genset's over 3/4, so I'll just retreat to my cooler lounge room now. It's damn uncomfortable out here.